We're here at this incredible dahlia garden. This is a botanical garden, as I like to call it, and these are some clients of mine that live here, but they've opened this garden up to the public. Let's take a stroll through it. We started growing dahlias here a few years ago and started with about 20, 30 dahlias, and they made a big impression on everyone, and now we must have one of the bigger dahlia collections in the state of New Mexico. Generally speaking, this wouldn't even be considered the kind of climate to grow dahlias, but obviously we've had some success. And this is a community garden in the sense that the Stambergers who own this residence have opened it up to the public, basically. And Taos does not officially have a botanical garden, but with over 250 species of plants here, I believe that we're definitely qualify. And this is something that, without being advertised, hundreds and hundreds of people come through on both structured and spontaneous tours through the garden, and no one is refused a tour if they go through the proper channels to set it up in advance. But in any case, we've got, as I said, about 250 or so species of plants. We've got over 200 species of dahlias in this garden here. What an incredible spectacle.
No, you say that this is 6 years ago you were brought on for one day to work on a vegetable garden, and 6 years later you've got 250 species covering like more than an acre?
That's correct. It's quite meandering, so an actual measurement defies us a little bit, but I would say that that's probably accurate. And yeah, right now the dahlias really are kind of the star of the show, but I wanted to emphasize that we grow a lot of medicinal herbs, we grow a lot of native plants and vegetables here, and using the principles of permaculture to do so in most cases, that might require a lot of explanation. So suffice to say, sustainable agriculture. We're all organic here. We try and stack functions as much as we can, meaning in a garden this size, obviously there are things like pest troubles. So utilizing good sustainable agriculture and permaculture practices, we've learned that the diversity of the garden actually protects it from insects and pests in general. I think it's confusing to pests to encounter such a riot of color, and that can be done using only native plants. And obviously we have more than just native plants here in this garden, but we're very healthy. We don't have really any pest problems to speak of. When we do, we address that right away, and mostly we've just got this pretty spectacular abundance that you can see, I think, pretty clearly through the video. Let's trudge through here.
So you said this garden represents roughly 6 years worth of work and growth here?
Yeah, we started from scratch. We had just a barren field here, and slowly, month by month, have continued to add things until we've gotten to this point here.
And what do you got? This is like a fruit orchard growing over here?
Yeah, we've got fruit trees, we've got peaches and cherries and pears and apples over here. You might look in the dahlia, within the context of the dahlia patch, we have fruit trees. So there's not just the dahlias out there, we've got fruit trees, we've got other perennials also surrounding that patch and amongst it to some extent. So yeah, we've got a lot of fruit trees, we've got a pretty incredible vegetable garden. I'm going to take you around the side of it though. Some nice raspberry plants growing here. A lot of edibles and medicinals along with the ornamental plants that exist here. And this is our vegetable garden. We've got a really short season here, but we manage a lot of abundance.
What's at the heart of what makes that possible? What is it that Sticks and Stones Earthworks is doing differently here that takes such a dry climate and yet brings such lush, juicy Is there an adjective that takes the noun oasis and turns it into an adjective?
Well, I mean, obviously it is a lot of hard work, but going back to applying the right principles and gardening concepts to what we do is a lot of the battle here. It is a very difficult climate to grow in, and a lot of people maybe who haven't gardened or haven't been to a garden like this in an arid region like this wouldn't realize necessarily what could be done. But it's all about timing in such a short season. We can get snow in May and we can get snow in October, and the frosts can be very close together between last frost and first frost. So we have to time everything just right. We have to know what species can make it here, and that's been like some trial and error over the years. But we bring, as a team, a lot of experience with farming and gardening in this region over the last 20 years. And a lot of the trial and error has been worked out over the years, I think. I think we have a good sense of what we can get away with and what we can't, but we're always kind of trying to push that edge also. We also try to bring in a lot of species from cold climates around the world, as well as we have a very strong focus in native plants, but in the interest of research and education, we're discovering varieties of things that will do well here that haven't been grown in this part of the world. For example, one crop from Bolivia is quinoa, which actually grows quite well here. So people are starting to grow that to some extent and discovering that's a new grain that has the most protein of any grain, and that does well here. So that can, we like to invite plants. We want plants to feel inclusive, and we also feel like there's a lot of research and education that needs to be done surrounding food security and other issues that we face in our world. So we try and address that, but we're also just gardeners, and there's a real joy and sense of accomplishment in working with the plants, and I think that that brings a lot of people joy as well as us, as our team. So
nice. Well, there you have it. It's Len Davis with Pangeality Productions here in Taos, New Mexico, with my main man Jerry Schwartz, aka DJ Ram from KTOW, the solar racing radio station here in town. And Jerry's business is Sticks and Stones Earthworks. And he's also doing all kinds of projects with permaculture and agriculture and community development all over the world. And I'm just loving being up here in Taos with my man. So, Jared, thanks so much for sharing your life and your work and your business and passion with me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Len, always a pleasure to have you. It's not often enough that we get together like this. Thank you.
Word up.